Welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show. Well, if you haven't noticed, this last whole 2 months have been completely wild. In fact, we have been highlighting women that have gone wild, that has taken a complete stand for their life and for other women around the world. This has been the Women Gone Wild series. And we have the upcoming Women Gone Wild Summit coming up September 28th to October 1st. And you are invited to come be wild with us. But before you register for this next summit, I have got 4 unbelievable women that are coming in to not only share with you what their mission is, but more importantly, why they said yes to being wild. 4 of these women are speakers on the upcoming summit. And if you remember, there's 4 days in this summit: wealth, intuition, leadership, and diversity days. And we will be having 10 speakers every single day representing the theme of that day. So today I've got 4 mystery women that are joining me. And these women are taking a stand. They're taking a stand for not only just women, but humanity, showing and being the mirror for other women around the world to rise, to use their voice, to fight through that part of them that says, maybe I am not good enough, or what will they think about me? So this episode, stay tuned, step in, and let's bring out my first guest. My very first guest is Lala Inuti Ahari. She is known as worldwide as a master conjurer, root worker, voodoo divinity specialist, spirit keeper, and a healer. Working in the liminal space between worlds, she's very familiar with the other side of the veil. Lala's talents come from her ancestry, following a lineage that dates back hundreds of years to slaves in Virginia and deep southern Texas. With generations of spiritualists in her family tree, she understands the importance of sacred connection and uses this understanding to guide others in their own journey. Lala, welcome to the show, sister. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm well. Thank you.
It's so great to have you. It's really so good to have you. And reading your bio, because I really wanted to honor that. I felt the that energy and that loving that you've got for your ancestors. And I think it's really beautiful on how you're taking that healing and that lineage and bringing it out to the world. Will you share a little bit more deeply about that lineage and where you got your calling from?
I have always felt a calling to help people, to make myself better, to make my family better, my daughters better, my friends. It's always been in me. So I believe once I started using my spirituality to help people, that's when everything exploded for me. Because I was following my heart. I was following a good cause. I wanted to be better. And I think that's where the success is coming from too, is because I'm really doing something that I love. So as far as my ancestry, my family is, I have a very Christian side and I have a very spiritual side. My mother's side is very Christian and I was raised mostly with my mother's side and with my dad's side, but not as much in my later years with my dad's side because I had to move. But I took the best of both worlds. And then I didn't stop there. I continued to grow spiritually. And it was important to me that I learned not just what I was taught, but more. So I can continue to teach and I can continue to grow.
I really love that because I think it's super important, especially with, those that watch my show, right? Because, many of us I was also raised very in a Lutheran church, and, my family was very more so religious. But my family has American Indian background. We're Cherokee Indians. So we had a very deep spiritual side. And as I was growing up, I felt like that was a bit of a conflict. And then as now I've started to tap into that, my spiritual side has really started to weave into understanding the connection and the belief systems, that I have. So would you say then, where the direction that you're taking, it sounded to me that you just became fully authentic and really truly tapped into your authentic self, which I think is such a powerful way to create attraction, which you said where the success is coming from, because what you've been doing, what you've created in your world is magical. And I think that's also, it sounds like that's a bit part of your mission. So will you talk more about like how you've been able to weave that in and generate and bring that abundance in because it's part of your mission?
Well, I do agree. Being authentic is key. Being true to yourself. You can see other people and they're living their truth, may not be your truth.
Yeah, that's
you have
right.
to walk your own path. You have your own journey, and you have to take it and grow from there. So definitely being authentic is key to me and in my work and everything that I teach. I'm very responsible when it comes to what I teach, because we all know in every religion and every practice or tradition, there is a good and a bad. Yeah. So I do make sure that I am responsible when it comes to what I do teach. And then also, I'm really big on prosperity. I'm really big on abundance and business and independence and growth and responsibility to integrity. I can go on and on because I'm serious about a lot of things. So I guess that maybe that helps too.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a major mission, because when a woman takes a stand for what they believe in, then it allows other women to also see that stand that they may not have, or they feel it inside, but they've never had the courage to take it. And I think that's really powerful, obviously the Woman Gone Wild Summit, you're a speaker, and I cannot wait to really just hear you fully deeper express what you're about. Will you share like why you said yes, and what does wild mean to you really?
Well, wild means to me anything that is outside the status quo, and anything that is going against the grain to live your truth, regardless of what that is. If that is in business, if that is in your love life, if that is in any part of your life, as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're growing from it, I feel like that is going wild. Anything that's going to wow anybody, like she just really did that. She put conjure on Instagram. She is marketing hoodoo,
right?
But that's my truth.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm worth the leap of faith, and other women are too.
Yeah, it's true. Like, being a digital marketer, like taking stands. Like right now, we're getting ready. The Women Gone Wild Summit's going to be the largest women's event that's ever been hosted virtually and live. And, I've been in digital marketing for 15 years, but you're right. Like, you're putting voodoo, you're marketing this, right? You're talking about conjuring. However, you stand in that truth so strong that why not, right? Because there is an audience and there's someone that's going to resonate with this that deserves to learn your message. And so I think it's so bold and so powerful for you to do that, which leads me then to asking you, like, what would you say would be like some of the best advice that you could give? Let's say I usually ask for your younger self. However, I'm thinking about right now, like these women that are like, what do you mean she's conjuring or she's doing voodoo online? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, how could you express that and give someone advice on like your truth that comes from what your teachings are?
Okay. Well, for someone who doesn't know about it, I would start with, we talk about taking care of our mind. We talk about taking care of our body. We talk about taking care of our emotional health, our physical health, but we never talk about our spiritual health. And that is key. That I feel like if you take care of your spiritual health first, then a lot of the other areas will align. And we don't talk about taking care of our spiritual self. So that to me is the beginning, is where someone would start, is where I would say, start here and then grow from that. And then wherever that takes you is your journey.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. Like this morning, my husband came in and, we had our popushkomi with our kopal and we were cleansing our space. And, we have certain rituals that we do, right? That just allows us to re-tap in, because so often, I see this often with, society, right? What's happening in the world, but we're like running around with chickens with their heads cut off. We're just like, and we're letting the world and we're letting everything around us be at the effect of us. But when we're grounded and we really check in to really where we came from and reconnect to our spiritual self, then we become more mindful, which is, I know why, Lala, your success in your wildness is so attractive, because you're so grounded. You know who you are, right? And you know what you're doing. So I really want to thank you for that. And I'm so excited to have you share with us on the summit and to really go deeper. Yeah. Would you please let everyone know, because everyone just, you need to know, you have to watch this woman. Her shows, this group that she's with, these women are beautiful. So share with them where they can find you now, because everyone's gonna go, who is this woman? I want this voodoo woman conjuring, what? Like, they're gonna wanna follow you. Share with them how to follow you, and then they'll get ready for the summit.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Conjured Hoodoo. That's one word. On YouTube, I have over 2 million views now on my show. It is The Conjure Family, where it's myself and my 3 daughters. And I'm on Facebook as well, but mostly on Instagram and YouTube.
I love it. We'll make sure that everyone gets her direct links as well. Make sure you're following this woman, because you deserve to tap in and cleanse that spiritual self, right? And really align with who you are. Lala, thank you, my dear, for being here. You are a blessing to all the women around us. And I can't wait to hang out with you more and to do a show with my daughters, with you and your daughters.
That'd be great.
I love it. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, my next guest is Michelle Arevalo-Carpenter, social entrepreneur, impact investor, and human rights lawyer. Michelle is the CEO and founder of IMPAQTO, the B Corporation that builds impact ecosystems through co-working, business acceleration programs, social innovation, consulting, and impact investing. Before her career in business, Michelle was the founding country director of Asylum Access Ecuador, a legal clinic for refugees, now reaching more than tens of thousands of refugees in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Michelle, welcome to the show. I tell you, lady, every time I read this, I'm like, you inspire me every day to go even deeper, to help more on such a granular level. And I'm just so inspired, right? I like every time I get to interview women that come in this show, I'm just like, I didn't even know about some of this stuff, right? Like, you see all these different women creating such change in the world. And I just want to thank you for that, really, truly.
I think the feeling is mutual, Rhonda, and I think that we're all in this path of discovering new ways of finding inspiration in everyday women. So yeah, it's very exciting to be here and sharing.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. You know what, I want to talk to you about your values, Michelle, because with IMPAQTO, what you're doing is it's so incredible. But you and I had a really amazing conversation the last 2 days, and we won't necessarily share what the conversation was. However, what I love about you, you stood up so strong to your values and alignment to your brand and what you stand for. And I was like, yes, thank you, right? Thank you for sharing that with me, because there was some information I didn't know, and you shared it. And I was like, yep, we are making a direct change right now. And that to me is like pure wildness, and a woman just taking a stand for her belief system and her values. So will you share more about, first off, why you said yes to this being wild? And to me, it sounds like it's very aligned with your values as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think that to me, being wild, I think that I think that the word has had some interesting weight put on to it. I think for some people, I think that they would prefer their women tame. They would prefer their women within a box. And I think for me to recapture and own the word wild and say, yes, women can be wild, and wild is good for women, is a very important step in recovering our femininity and really tapping into that amazing energy that we have the privilege to have as women.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like we're reclaiming our wildness, like we're rewilding, right? And it's because we were all kind of stuck in this little box of what we should do and what we're told to do. And it's like, no, let's bring us back to earth, what we are, right? And I think it's really powerful. And so will you speak more about the values that you hold, and the things that you align yourself with, especially with IMPAQTO. I think that is just, IMPAQTO is so important with who you are and what you do, that the values are so vitally important at what you stand for. And will you share more deeply so that the audience can really understand, what IMPAQTO stands for, what the values are that you align with?
Absolutely. I think that I think as women, we all have these discoveries that mark our lives and declare what our purpose is. And I think that even though I was already a human rights lawyer and I was working in a very impactful space, I was working with refugees in Asia, Africa, Latin America, very difficult circumstances, and I was doing already quote unquote good for the world. I think that my true purpose, I actually discovered it in a place where I never thought I would discover it. I discovered it in the business sector. I realized that most transactions in the world, most decisions in the world are happening in the private sector. But this private sector was devoid of values. They were businessmen, mostly men, that were saying, okay, the only role of business is to make money. And I think that my mission in life became to say, no, we actually can reclaim this space, this business space, for those of us who want to make the world a better place, and to use and harness the power of business to improve the environment, to improve society, to have a more equitable gender balance. And why not? To actually turn business into a more political arena and make a change for the diversity, for the rights that we hold dear, and to build a community and the world that we want to see.
It's so beautiful. And would you say then, with this new movement, especially obviously we're these women that are coming together and we're banding together to say, men, take a little breather. Like it's coming, it's like we're almost giving some of our men a bit of space, because I really hate to use, and you see so many people, oh, this is now this feminist movement. It's like, no, this is us coming back into neutrality, right? That the women are rising, we're bringing some feminine energy into business. We're giving you a little bit of a break. Like I've told my husband, like, hey, this patriarchy stuff, don't worry. Let the women come and just balance it out. So take a little bit of a break, because sometimes it gets pointing fingers. However, what we stand for, and I know that you do, it's like you said, it's bringing us back into balance, right? And allowing for...
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And what is interesting is that in this new space of purpose-driven businesses and social enterprises, we see a lot more female leaders. We also have some incredible male social entrepreneurs, but we see a lot more balance. You see a lot more conversation between two businesses that you would usually consider themselves competitors, and they actually just talk about how to collaborate better and maybe create a bigger green economy, or or maybe collaborate better and create more circular businesses. So it's beautiful to see how, like you said, the more women come into business, the more into balance the business sector becomes, and the statistics back us up. There's all kinds of studies that say that the more businesses are being led by females, you actually see more businesses going into social and environmental impact measurement.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest, right? It's the environmental impact, and it's because there's more compassion, tends to be on, with women, and we think about these things, right? Because we are birthing humans, we're bringing life into this world, so why not protect the earth around us? And I think it's a beautiful flow that's happening now, and I'm seeing it even more. And so, Michelle, would you please share with everyone, because I know that you've got a young child, and actually, no, you don't have one child. You have twins, don't you?
Yeah.
So you've got twins. Would you share, what advice? I mean, you're doing such beautiful work right now, and you're inspiring women, and you're supporting them, and really making change socially in the world. If you were to look at the young little Michelle and to say, what advice would you give her today, knowing who you are now? What would you say to that young Michelle?
I think I would say stop asking for permission. I think that so many of us feel like we have these big dreams. We can imagine a different reality being built, and a lot of us think, oh, okay, well, I need to talk to my elders. I need to talk to people who have come before me. I have to talk to my professors or some other expert in that world to see if they would allow me to do it. When in reality, I think we don't realize that those of us who dream of a different reality are on our own, because those of us who came before us have already failed to change that reality. So believe in yourself, stop asking for permission, and just go for it. Of course, ask for advice, but really don't think that you need permission from anyone to move forward, because you will find that a lot of these so-called experts and elders don't have it in their best interest for you to succeed. So just believe in yourself.
Yeah, I love it, because it's true. If you think about most of the opinions that we're asking for permission, they have their own belief systems, right? And they've got their own layers that they're giving you the advice from. So just trust in yourself. I think it's beautiful. Thank you, Michelle, for all that you do. I cannot wait to have you speaking at the summit so you can really dive more deeply into what you care about, those values that you have, and where that, so everyone can see that spark of wildness inside of you. Where can our audience follow you and find more about you and IMPAQTO and with the work that you're doing?
Yes, absolutely. I think that if there are any social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that want to start businesses that change the world, they're always welcome to find us at impacto.net, and that's impacto with a Q, .net, and we are using the same handle on all social media. And my personal handle as well, it's Michelle at IMPAQTO.
I love it. Well, we'll make sure that everyone gets to see this. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the end of the month. All right, everyone. So if you haven't been inspired yet, hold tight, because these next two women are so powerful. In fact, my next guest is Adriana Monique Alvarez. She is the CEO and founder of AMA Publishing. She teaches women how to start profitable publishing companies and has written How to Start a Six-Figure Publishing Company that is now available on Amazon. How appropriate, because we just launched our book. We're going to learn more about this woman and what she does. But she's also a USA Today bestselling author, and her most recent book, The Younger Self Letters, debuted #1 on bestseller lists internationally. She's been seen in Forbes, Huffington Post, International Living, American Daily, Daily Post, Addicted to Success, Elephant Journal, London Daily Post, Entrepreneur, Fox, ABC, NBC. I mean, this woman is seen all over the world, and it's because of the work and the impact that she's leaving on others. So, Adriana, how are you, sister? Good to have you.
I'm amazing. It's so good to be here. Thank you, Rhonda.
It's so awesome. I just love you. Every time you and I meet, like, this is like the ultimate feminine, female entrepreneur connection, right? When you are just like in each other's space, assisting, helping, moving, and flowing. It is like the most perfect relationship, an example how women in business especially should navigate. So for that, my dear sister, I thank you for that, because I love our interaction and just what we do together. So let's talk about you, Adriana. First off, what wilded you? What allowed you to say, oh my goodness, I'm wild, I have to share this? Like, what, did you have a wild story that triggered you to say, yes, I'm in?
Well, it really went back to a message I received at the beginning of this year. I like to set an intention for the year and see where source and ancestors are guiding me. And when I went into this meditative state, my angels, my guides, my ancestors, my daughter Nina, my grandmother who is with me, they said, this year you keep your ear to the ground. You keep your ear to the ground and you be one with nature. You connect to your mother. And so when I heard what your summit was about and I heard that title, that's what wild means to me, is that I'm back to the earth. I'm back to my roots. I'm growing my own food. I'm giving my children the herbs that I grow. I am one with the trees and the river and the land. And I actually am living on the land that my grandparents cultivated. And I'm picking peaches from my own trees. And that is what it is for me. And so I knew that you were tapping into that you were saying, let's get into that a little deeper. And so I couldn't say no.
You just, I mean, I got goosebumps fully because I think you know part of my story too. Like I've really been deeply tapping, just re-earthing, really, and which is, you know, an example of wilding. And it's, I want to deeper into this with you then because, you know, you took that time away. Do you go away completely alone into nature? Share with like what you do, because I think this is a really big lesson and should be a ritual. I do it 3 times a year where I go away 5 days, water fast the whole time, and I just connect with the mother in spirit. Will you share about what your process is and the outcomes? Because I think more of us need to learn.
Absolutely. So this year, what it's looked like is I have taken daily walks in the river. I live very close to the river, and all my family is from here. So for 4 or 5 generations, this is where we've called home. And so being in the river and on the river, it has really connected me to that rhythm. And there is a rhythm to nature. There is a rhythm to Mother Earth, and it is completely different than the rhythm that modern society takes. And so she continues to show me this is the pace. This is what provision looks like. This is what abundance is. Open your eyes and you'll see everything in life is taken care of, beyond taken care of. Each one has its place. Each one serves a beautiful purpose. Everything in life, when it is in sync and harmonious, is a blessing to everything else. And so that's what it's looked like for me. So then in that space, I can say, and how can I be a blessing today? What is the truest expression of my soul today? And it has also included us going into the mountains. We have a cabin that is deep in. We have absolutely no cell service. And so we have taken many trips for 2 or 3, 4 days at a time. And that silence, and teaching this to my children, saying, you know, we're going to go beyond the water and we're going to hear, what does it have to say to us? So that's what it's looked like this year. And we're actually getting ready to leave tomorrow again for another one of these trips. And I just look forward to it because it is like every single cell of my body recalibrates and receives something new. I mean, even as I'm speaking now, as I've been listening to these ladies, I can feel it. And this is what happens when you put together a mission and a movement like this, Rhonda, is all of us are feeling the same thing. All of us are doing it in our own expression, and it's happening around the globe. How amazing is that?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, it's like the more women get to see this connection, this energy, they're all going to start going, I've been doing that too. I've had the same calling, right? Like I've been hearing it every time I speak it out. All of a sudden, all these women are like, me too, right? So I think this is really what I love the most about what we're doing, because we're sharing, so we're giving others permission to say, oh my gosh, me too, right? And to really bring that out. So would you say then this work is what you bring into your business and how you navigate with your clients? Because just like Lala was saying, right? It's just like this abundance is just flowing forward. And it's just because we're in a state of gratitude, grounding, our frequency levels are so high because we don't need any of that stuff that's around us.
Absolutely. What I teach my clients is that when you are in your soul's purpose, when you are living out the real reason you came here, which by the way, isn't to pay bills, to have a 401k and take the trash out on Tuesday nights. It is so much deeper than that. And when you're connected to it and you're living it and you're walking it out, you are operating at a different level and on a different plane than those who are not. Mm-hmm. And you said this is a thing when we share. And so this is also my purpose. And my mission is, when we share our story, when we use our voice, and this sound reverberates through the entire universe, what it does is it allows someone else to say, oh my God, my story came out of her mouth. We are in it together. We are truly connected. That's me too. And so when we can see where we overlap and where, oh yes, I feel her, I get her, I know her, I've lived that, then we can do good things in the world because we're no longer under the illusion that we're different and disconnected.
Yeah, powerful, sister. Like, woohoo! Amen to that, right? I know there's so much resonance with that. Before I have you go, I want you to, will you share, what is that biggest advice that you've ever received? That someone has given you advice that's actually change the trajectory of the way that you do things or how you're navigating?
You know, one of the things that my mom would often say is, to thine own self be true. And for a long time, I didn't know what it meant. But when it clicks, it really clicks. And you realize that no one knows your path better than you. No one understands what you're capable of like you do. And so if you can honor yourself, and if you can acknowledge your own power and your own sense of self, my God, you are a light and you are a force in this world.
Yes, I love it. Oh, well, I'm excited too because you're going to be lighting up, the stage on the summit, and we're going to learn more deeply too because you're an amazing publisher that has been. How many books have you been publishing now in the last? Do you have a number?
Let's see here. I think I've done 7 or 8 in the last year or so, and then in just a few more weeks, I will become a 15-time international best-selling author, so I'm very excited.
Wow, so cool. And you are going to be in the next Women Gone Wild Wealth Edition book as well. So by the end of the year, by the start of the next year, we're just going to keep layering them on. So powerful. So I'm excited to learn more about what you do, how you do it. Because being a USA Today, also bestseller, internationally known, this is really big. And this is something that I'm also learning from you as well with this series, because I already made this commitment that we're going to beat Chicken Soup for the Soul. So we got a lot of work to do to get to that point. However, beating 500 million copies sold is not a bad goal to have. So thank you, Adriana, so much. Where can everyone find you now? Because they're going to want to learn more. That's why we want to leave all these little cliffhangers about what you ladies do so they show up for the summit and they learn more deeply about you.
Absolutely. I would love for people to visit my website. That's amaspeaks.com. There you can request to get a free copy of my book. And there's just a few questions that I love to find out about people and gifts that I have. So amaspeaks.com is perfect.
All right, go find her there. Thank you, Adriana. Really good to see you, my love. All right, my next guest I'm going to bring out. Well, get ready, because this woman was going to take you into another dimension. If you haven't already noticed, there seems to be a bit of a pattern. Every woman that we bring out that has been showing up, that has said yes, that has said, I am wild, are all tapping back into their spiritual self. They're tapping back into where they came from. And my next guest is Whelan. She's accredited psychotherapist, author of 2 memoirs, tantric teacher, energy rising star healer, workshop facilitator, speaker, NLP coach, retreat leader, and transformational therapist. She's the founder and creator of Solution Therapy, offering transformative services to companies, individual groups, couples, and teenagers. Her work has brought her to sit in world's experts, such as Dr. Joe Dispenza, Gabor matching training and living inquiries, and the incredible spiritual teacher, humanitarian, and wellness expert, Derek O'Neill. Karen, come on out here. How are you, lovely? You wild woman.
I'm wonderful. I'm great. I'm just sitting in such heart energy. I'm after being listening to all these gorgeous women. My love for you and for your team and for all of this is just, I'm just so honestly, and I'm laughing because people don't know me, so I'm going to sound like I have something in my mouth, but I have a bar in my mouth because I'm getting married in a few months and I'm getting braces on. Yes. So I'm just so, I'm aware. I'm like trying to speak in a lovely, elegant way, and my poor tongue has nowhere to go. So up front, there we
love it.
See, there's my gorgeous vulnerability in this face.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. This is the realness, right? And by the way, congratulations on your getting married. That's amazing. And where do you live now? Because where are you from? You're from Ireland, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Ireland. Yeah.
She's in Ireland.
I love Ireland. I've been digging into the root of Ireland at the moment, and I'm very aware it's a little island that's sitting on quartz crystals. It's so ancient in its energy and the druidism and the shamanism. I love it. And I'm starting to learn about Irish language again, because I just didn't appreciate it in school when we would speak in Gaelic. I just, I never liked it. And my son went to an All Ireland speaking school. But when he translated into English, it's beautiful. Like the words would be, I have happiness in my heart. It's just gorgeous, And I'm now starting to kind of revert back to all of that again, back into my own ancestral
Into
energy,
your
which is
roots.
wonderful.
I love it, and it's like it's like a song. I love the language because it's like a harmony. And so let's tap into your work then, because you are living on an island above crystals. Naturally, this is a really good space for you to be. So let's talk about your work. Like, where did this depth of your work come from? And is it from your ancestors? Did it come from you, from your family? Like, where did you get this calling?
So I got this call in, I showed up into this world. I came in, now I can say it, I came in awakened. I came in already looking through the eyes of knowing I'm a spiritual being doing this human experience. And I say that with real honesty because I was born into a family where I endured so much trauma and abuse, sexual abuse and physical abuse. And when I spoke out at 14, so that was my first encounter of standing up to a masculine energy. And when I stood up to that masculine energy, I kept on hearing over and over and over, forgive him for he knows not what he has done. So my soul self knew at that point with my redemptive heart, forgiveness was my way forward. And I forgave him, but it didn't fit into the consciousness of everyone around me. So I shut down that wisdom within my own being and I ignored that within myself. And what happened then, because I disconnected from it, I then stepped into the program of self-hate. And I began to really hate karma with such fury that unfortunately at 14, I did attempt suicide. I ended up on the streets being homeless for 15, taking drugs, objectifying my body and being promiscuous because my only sense of a connection or love was if I please you and make you want me, then I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be safe. That then catapulted me at only the age of 17 with no French. I ended up living as an au pair in France to this incredible, wonderful healer that when I crashed on my scooter, this woman healed my broken ribs and my broken fingers by just putting her hands on me. So that was my first, again, encounter with the unknown, tapping into an energy that I couldn't make sense of, that my little human mind couldn't make sense of. And I came home pregnant, and 3 weeks before I had my son, his dad ended the relationship. So I'm like 19, back in Ireland with a beautiful little boy, no education. I had left school at 15. I'd come from a family that my grandmother had 14 children, 7 boys, 7 girls. They all left school when they were young, about 10. They went straight into work. So here I am alone with a child, and I'm like, there has to be more to me than this. There has to be. I was feeling life was shrinking in. My son would be in bed by 7. I felt I didn't belong in the world. And I just said, I have to do something. So I did. I put myself back into education. I stayed in college for 10 years. And I started to recognize I worked with children who were taken out of their own home because of trauma and abuse. And I started to recognize I had this innate way of connecting within the soul of children. I knew their trauma. I could read it in them. I could feel it. It's like a dowsing stick when you're over the landscape and you're trying to find the water. My body would resonate with where they were holding their trauma. And I was like, wow, there's a soul's recognition of another soul here. So this is how I ended up coming up with my name, Solution Therapy. So I decided then to go and train as a psychotherapist. And even training in psychotherapy, I recognized I can't be boxed into this little framework. I'm more expansive than just doing dialective therapy. And I had to postpone my authenticity in the college in order just to get by and get my accreditation and my license to practice. So I said, I don't want to be a therapist. I don't think it's for me. It doesn't match me fully. And I took time off and I wrote my first memoir. And then I went back into the therapy, and I went back into the therapy from a place of, which I love. My son had said it to me, he was 19. Isn't it glorious that life called you in as you? That you're not here as a tree, a bird, a dog, that you're here as a Karen because it wants to know itself as you and live itself through you. And your only job is to self-permit. You don't need anyone else's permission. And when he said that to me, I recognized in that moment, I haven't been living myself fully. I haven't been living my version of it, Karen. So I went in and I started to do the deep inner work. I did ayahuasca retreats. I would go away to a monastery and fast and go into silence. And I would just sit looking at the statue of Jesus and looking at the sacred heart of him. And I would sit there and I would identify that aspect of myself again, that redemptive heart, that is the way forward for me. And I'm not going to disown the fact that I have this capacity to see beyond what it is that a person will say or do to me. I don't personalize it. I understand that if a person is doing something to me, that they're a mirror for me. They're either to show me an aspect of myself that I need to evolve more in and heal within me, or they're showing me something that I can learn from. So I don't personalize it. So it's just been, and I could go on and on and on because I have so much passion.
Well,
for
I
the
love
work
it.
that
I mean,
do.
but I feel it in you. I mean, this is, you know, like you're channeling this information, right? Like think about the life. And this is so beautiful because women are watching this, young girls, like my daughter Hanale's 14, right? She's a speaker, she's in the book, and she's listening to this because there will be things that happen to us in our life, but unless we open up for the calling, right, we may never know. And I think there's so many that are like this. So I really appreciate you sharing that, you know, because this is when we actually see inside of ourselves, our true self is when we allow ourselves to truly be seen. Yeah. And I really love that you've done that. And yeah, and it's such a true wild story. I mean, you could have easily said, okay, I'm 19, I've got a child now, you know, I'm a victim, but you didn't do that. So what advice would you give to a woman, let's say, or even a young girl, let's say the 19-year-old that finds themselves in a stuck place? And what advice would you give to them? Like if they think that their world or their life is ending or that they could or they should end it, what is your best advice?
I would say to somebody in the darkness, you know, I would say to them, this is a death, it's a rebirth. You are a bright light. And to know what you are, you have to know what you are not. And I love that quote. You know, I read it in The Soul and the Sun, you know, so don't get angry with the darkness. Don't, you know, and for me, and I would say to them, look, I learned that there's so much wisdom. There is so much wisdom to be learned through suffering and pain. And I'm not saying go out and have the experience of suffering and pain. I'm saying don't be afraid of it. Bring it in. Don't run from your body. Don't bolt out of yourself. Stay with the self within. The self within has signed up for this. You have come in with a soul contract to say, I am going to be that one who's going to work on these programs, who's going to have these life experiences, who's going to heal the intergenerational line. That's what I did. So I would say to a younger person, you are a bright light. Do not shrink down. Do not give your power away. Do not get small just to make somebody around you feel more important. You are who you are. There is no reason to apologize for who you are. You are a wonderful vibration of the God spark. Own that God spark within. Wow. I love that you were here. And right now, this darkness, it is a process. It is a journey. The earth moves in the universe, always in forward motion. You will not be here tomorrow. You will be in a different space and place with this. Own and learn what you can learn from it and write it down and keep it because it's wisdom. It is such wisdom that person then can pass on and pass on. That's what I would say.
Wow, I love it. Like this is pure wise wisdom that's coming forward. I love too that, you know, I also think that there's so much blessings and lessons in our traumas. But one thing that I think people need to realize, it's not always yours. It could be your family, your ancestors, your lineage's trauma that you've been holding on to, right? And I think that's where so much wisdom can come from. And I also have been recently like clearing that ancestral trauma because I want my daughter to be completely sovereign, right? Because I know that here I can hold on to it. And I didn't know the things I was holding on from my family's past that were causing this stuff. And so I think that's a beautiful lesson to reminder, you know.
And I don't mean to come in on that, but I think just to add to what you just said, because it's so beautiful. Sometimes we forget how our daughters or our sons look up to us as mothers. And I remembered, you know, when I did the ayahuasca retreat, I remember going into a deep place inside of myself. I remember being 8. And I remember the moment I took on the fat mentality, where I was telling myself I was fat because my mother, who I had just idolized and I adored. And I remember she was putting coal in on the fire and she stood up and she made a comment about her body. And it was a negative comment. And my soul wanted to rescue it out of her. My soul said in that moment, I'm going to take the burden of that off of you. And in doing that, then I internalized it as I am fat. I started to judge my own body. I wish I had remembered that in my teenage years, because I would have gone, wow, you're so beautiful. It took an aspect out of your mother's energy to carry within your own beingness to help her along. But I didn't remember. Instead, I went on a path of, I'm fat, I don't like my body, I need to change everything, you know. So we forget. And I have a daughter who's 16, and I'm always wondering, how is it that she witnesses me? I don't want to be a domesticated woman. I'm not a woman who's just meant to nurture the home. There's so much vibration and love and creativity. I want to show her that she can be an anybody and anything in this world, you know. So yeah, I love what you said. I love that.
Oh, Karen, you just touched my heart, right? I mean, obviously this is why we're all soul sisters. We have just come together naturally to really create this movement. So thank you so much for being you. I can't wait to see you in the end of this month, and to really inspire more women and more young women and more men, society, humanity, right? To really tap into themselves and to love themselves. So Karen, where can everyone find you now if they want to start looking for you before they get to meet you again?
Yeah, beautiful. I'm always on Instagram. So I am the .solution.therapist, or on my website. People can always, and I'm in this with genuine honesty, reach out to me. You know, I am there for that. That's why I'm here in the world. I understand pain so much, and I understand it so well. I have it like, my mission is, I have to be with somebody if they're holding that in themselves. So please reach out to me. This is what I'm here for. And you can find me on my website, which is solutiontherapy.com.
I love it. Well, we'll make sure they all get those links as well. Thank you so much, Karen. You are a true beam and a blessing to all of us. Oh, well, everyone, what do you think? What an amazing crew of women. This sisterhood is being built every single time we have these shows. You know, from women that have tapped into their ancestor lineage and are really bringing forward the lessons that they've learned, and those that are rerouting, re-earthing. All of these women are connected. All of us are connected. Are you feeling that? Are you feeling this wildness within yourself, within others? Because when I meet these other women and I'm interviewing and we're bringing them forward, I'm seeing myself in them. So my wish for all of you that are watching is that you see yourself in us, that you feel that wildness within yourself, that you are an example and a mirror for your daughters, for other women, or you allow us to be that mirror for you so that you can truly tap into your soul's mission. Listen to the mother. What is your calling? And right now, our calling for you is to come be wild with us. Join us. Join us at the upcoming summit. It's coming up at the end of September, 28th through October 1st. These 4 women will be sharing the stage with 40 other women that have become wild, that have taken that calling inside and said, yes, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here for our generations to come. And I'm here for our past, for our ancestors, to heal that and let them know it's okay. Let us take that message and bring it forward, because the more we all, become more wise and the more aware we become, that's where the wisdom's coming from. So open your mind, open your heart, and allow that wisdom to come forward. So thank you all so much for being here on the show today. Ladies, thank you for being here. What an inspiration. You're all so beautiful. I really physically want to just get in the screen and hug everyone, but I know we're going to meet each other. Whether it's here in Bali, it's anywhere in the world, it's time to crack this world open and start flying again. But thank you, audience, for being here as well. I'm very honored that you spend your time to listen, to connect, and to be part of this show. And the more of us that can share this message, the more the world and the more women will come forward and be wild. So thanks for being on the show. Don't forget, be unstoppable and always stay wild. We'll see you next show. Bye, everyone.